Just have to take a quick minute to thank our sponsors, Yellow Dog Paddle, Mackin's Rip and Lips Fishing Trips, Expedition Fly Fishing, NJFishing.com, and 8 Ball Sport Fishing. Also have to thank our supporters, Mike K's Guide Service, Psycho Jigs, Lip Glue, FC Fish Company, Nor'easter Hardcore Apparel, Hoggy Time Jigs, The Mimi Sick, and The Gambler. Yellow Dog Paddle and Mike Herman continue to slaughter it on Round Valley. YellowDogPaddle.com. He's now offering fishing lessons if you're not interested in a fishing trip, but just want to see how these guys set the boat up to troll these reservoirs. You can find that on YellowDogPaddle.com. Also offering a frequent flyer pass if you want to go on multiple trips in a couple different seasons. It'll save you some money. So check out Yellow Dog Paddle. Hello and welcome to episode number 106 of the NJ Multifish Podcast. I am your host, Joe Santiago. As always, my partner, Chris Pereira.
Here we go again.
We were off the air last week because we aired our 100th episode that everyone's arguing was not the 100th episode, but it was John Skinner Fishing. Interesting episode. If you didn't see it, go back and check it out. A lot of shit happened in the past 2 weeks that we have to touch on. A lot of stuff. We have to start right off with the Gambler. Gambler trip went on the day after the last episode we did. And it was a huge success. Between people not getting sick, the Gambler putting us on fish, Captain Bogan, unbelievable job. Chris, we were kind of nervous on the first drop a little bit secretly, right?
Well, yeah, because last year we had really calm seas, conditions were great, and we set off on a drift right away, a nice, slow, perfect drift, and just started jigging at least I started jigging sea bass, and a lot of guys started with bait rigs, but the conditions were great. We started catching fish right away, and this time it was much rougher conditions, to say the least, and obviously they had to anchor. The hot bite, the good fishing was a lot deeper than it was last time also. And the first stop, I was like, oh no.
It was very lifeless. Very lifeless.
I mean, it wasn't lifeless, but it was not the sea bass fishing that we were hoping for.
Well, I had gotten a call from Chris Lido the night before, and he said, you got nothing to worry about. We killed him today. We're going to drop right back there tomorrow. I said, oh, thank God. All right. And then I'm sitting there, I'm saying, oh, shit. This don't look good. Like, nobody's really catching nothing. It looks kind of rough. And I was saying, oh, God. But then
I had faith. It's not like I did.
I did have faith. You get nervous in that situation. There's a lot of people there, and they're going to blame you for it. Like, they're not even going to blame the Gambler. They're going to blame Joe Santiago, probably. Like, they're all going to just blame me. But anyway, Captain Bogan made a slight adjustment on the anchor, slid back just a little bit, and boom. I mean, the rod started lighting up.
No, he moved. He pulled the anchor and moved the first time.
Off the first time. Didn't he do a slide back first?
No,
he dropped back.
I'm pretty sure he pulled the anchor completely and repositioned the boat. He didn't go far, but
after he made the first move of the boat, we started crushing him. I mean, I posted both videos. It's in 2 parts. Obviously, there's so much footage I couldn't put all of it up, but it is on YouTube, both parts. I think Gambler's going to use it for their website, which is really cool. And if you were on the trip, you probably are in the video. And thank you to everyone who came on the trip. We really do appreciate it. And,
if you were on the trip and you're not in the video, we'll give you a free shirt because it's impossible.
Yeah, that's a good game right there. A good one. If you came on the Gambler and can watch both videos and tell me you're not in one of them, we'll send you a free shirt. But so there's your challenge.
to prove it, they're going to have to tell you, and then you're going to have to go back and watch the whole thing with a picture of whoever it is looking for them.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome game. I'm in. So if anyone can win that, we'll send it.
And hold on, one more thing. There was a couple people missing off the trip, right? And Fast Eddie had issues, uncontrollable, and he couldn't make it, and that sucks. And I know he wanted to come, but there was also, he was accounted for because he let us know. There was another. Did we find out who? There was someone who bought like 5 or 6 tickets, like a family or a bunch of friends that were coming, and nobody recognized the name, and they didn't. No. We don't know who that is.
I don't know the name. No, someone did purchase 6 tickets and not show. I don't know if they'll go a different day with Gambler or what happens, but you know.
Well, I was thinking like, oh, we'll find out who this is the only thing I could think of is we said so many times that this trip was leaving at 6, and I'm pretty sure the Gambler sent out a blast email to everyone signed up that said the same thing. Their normal trips, like if you go on the website, they leave at 8. So that's why we kind of put it everywhere that we're leaving at 6.
Yeah, and that wasn't a problem for anyone.
No, but the only thing I could think of was these missing people thought that it was going to be at 8. So I thought,
we would have got cursed at by now if that was.
That's right. I thought for sure on like the Facebook page the next day there'd be someone.
No, I'm thinking that was a mistake or like someone that didn't belong on that roster or something. I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
Well, this is the last time I'm going to mention it because if someone who's not on any of the other pages and just watches the podcast bought the tickets and that was you, I mean, let us know because we have no idea who these. I mean, that's $500 or $600, however many tickets it was.
Yeah, but I'm sure like Gambler gives them like a rain check.
I mean. Yeah, but we got to know who it is.
Yeah, that's true. Also, the guy who screamed suffer for the fish at me in the Wawa scared the shit out of me while I was making a sandwich on the computer. If you could tell me what Wawa that was, I will send you a free shirt, too, because that was cool. You did scare the whole store, though, and probably almost got the police called at 4:30 in the morning. Gambler came in. Shout out to the Bogan. Shout out to Chris Lito. Amazing job. Can't wait to get back on that boat. Hopefully we do another group trip with them ASAP. On right to the next day. The first time ever. It's me, you, Max, and Kevin on the Time End with Chuck. We had to be back down there at 6 a.m. again, which was a little rough.
That was my 3rd day in a row.
I know. It was your 3rd. It was my 2nd. It was kind of like an emotional trip for Kevin because it was the first time he's ever been striper fishing since his grandfather passed away. And I guess he only striper fished really with his grandfather on the boat Storm Lady. So Kevin got on the boat and got to land a really nice striper on Chuck's boat and took some pictures with a striper and the hoodie from the boat, the Storm Lady, as like a dedication to his grandfather. But it was really cool that it was just me, Max, and Chris for the first time on a trip like that. And Chuck, of course, has to be there. That none of that shit happens. But it ended up that trip was the start 8 hours of it was complete misery. It sucked. We had one fish on immediately that broke off. Second fish on pretty long after that. We put a satellite tag in it. If you want to see that video, we have that on YouTube of a fish being satellite tagged.
And the first fish didn't break off. It came off. Kevin lost it.
Kevin lost it, yeah. Kevin did lose it. So then we went through a really long, just horrible nothingness. And I'm always laughing because, like, I know I've never seen Chuck fail. Like, I know fishing, you can't guarantee anything. It's impossible. But with Chuck Manny, you can guarantee it. Like, I've never seen it. So after, like, 6-7 hours, like, you know, Chuck is getting pissed. Kevin and Max are looking at us like, what are you guys talking about? This ain't what you were saying it is. I'm in my head the whole time. I'm saying I know what's going to happen as soon as, you know, I just know what's going to happen. And it did happen, of course. I went live on YouTube when Kevin had a fish on. And while I was live on YouTube, 3 more rods went off. I dropped the phone. It turned out into complete pandemonium with 4 giant fish on at one time. Yeah, I'm working on that video still. That'll be out on YouTube soon.
Good. And you have footage from what else? You have a bunch of other footage too.
I mean, yeah, the gambler video's out. The Chuck Manny one, I haven't posted it yet. Working on it.
You have another set of footage from me the day before the gambler, going out with Chuck with John Britt.
Yeah, we're buried in we're gonna work on it, but we are buried in stuff. We then went to Spruce Run, caught some hybrids. We haven't posted that yet. And then we went down south.
We're naming lakes now.
Did I name Spruce Run? I didn't mean to say it.
You just
no one cares. There's only hybrids in 2 fucking lakes. If you can't figure out which one it is, you don't even belong to have.
There's hybrids in more than 2 lakes.
There is? Well, what, that one down south? No one counts that.
They're in Monksville now too. You want to name more lakes?
I don't count Monksville. Monksville's not a lake. It's a living nightmare from hell. It's no lake. That place sucks balls.
I like it.
I hate it. Yeah, I see you there all the time.
Oh, it's too far for me, but
how is it too far for you? It's not far at all.
Why would I go there when I have closer lakes? If that was the closest lake, I'd be there. No. Every time I fished there, I did well. I couldn't figure out why people didn't like it.
It's a hellhole. Terrible. I'm upset it was even mentioned here. Now you spot burned it. Everyone go to Monksville that heard this. But yeah, we went to Spruce Run for the night. That kind of sucked, but we were able to like misery our way into a couple decent fish. But yeah, another miserable night. And then we headed down South Jersey to meet the Kennedys, Sandy and Kevin, and that was probably one of the craziest fishing trips of my life. Like, that was awesome. Awesome.
You want to burn their spots too, or
no? I don't want to burn their spots. Like, I want to explore.
You don't know where the hell you even were.
No idea. No, it was like these little mud puddles, and he would tell us where to go, and you would just bring your lure through there, and these gigantic fish out of nowhere would just smash the lure. The most violent shit I've seen, like from little tiny creek like that. Those fish are awesome. Those are better than largemouth bass. I'm saying it. I'm saying it live on the podcast right now. Record it, fucking repost it. Snakeheads are 10 times cooler than largemouth bass. I'll trade every one of them for snakeheads.
That's in your mind every fish though.
No. I mean, these things were cool. Like, these were cooler than a lot of other shit I've caught too. Like, they were awesome.
Yeah, it's a cool fish.
The way they hit is unbelievable. The way that they fight is unbelievable. And then the color patterns on each one, how different it is. They're just amazing fish. Now I'm obsessed with them. Like, I'm moving to South Jersey and just becoming a snakehead fisherman. Yeah, that was awesome. Have to shout it out to the Kennedys. They are just unbelievable. We owe them big time. They've really, some of the species we've never caught at all. The Kennedys brought us to them. We're trying to get them to come up here and fish with us to hopefully get them on some hybrids and try to return the favor. But yeah, from my perspective, Chris, snakehead and bowfin fishing, I would go again anytime. I mean, absolutely awesome. New fish like added to my repertoire.
Oh yeah. They're great. Some people call them trash fish. I don't understand.
I don't either. I mean, the bowfin was like the only way I could describe it. It was like the ultimate catfish. Like, if you like catfishing, the bowfin is like the ultimate catfish. It's not a catfish, but if you like that style of fishing, like, that was what it was.
I disagree with that.
Really?
I mean, how often you go for catfish, put your bait under a float, and get hit within 10, 15 minutes?
I mean, it happens. I'm just saying, like, that fishing style of, like, letting the bait soak with the forks. It's like that catfishing.
But, dude, that was unsuccessful. That's not even how we caught the bowfin. Like it wasn't. I wouldn't even consider that bait and weight. That was like putting.
Well,
the
one
bait.
of them, me and Chuck, like left the rod and we were across the street, like saw it bending over the guardrail. Chuck was.
I don't know. I definitely wouldn't compare it to catfishing.
It seemed like catfishing to me. It seemed like the most awesome catfishing ever, but no catfish was involved. That's the only way I could describe bowfin fishing.
Yeah, I don't know.
The snakehead fishing, that was just amazing. Like just, normal kind of just bring your lures in and wait for them to get rocked. Like, and everyone was saying that occasionally the bowfin do that too. Like you'll get a lure smashed by a bowfin. I didn't get to see that happen, but apparently it does happen. Chris, tonight's guest, I don't even know his name. I know
his name's Matt.
Matt, I think he tried to come in here already, and
yeah, I think he's ready. So
all right, yeah, we're gonna discuss some fly fishing with Matt. But Chris, why we get him in? We're gonna have to have an episode on this, but do you just briefly want to like touch on a ballpark realm of what's going on with the bluefin tuna fish regulations, because it's just kind of insane?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me as far as the new size limits, but basically, generally speaking, the new slot for bluefin tuna is so much smaller than what guys are usually catching and what's usually around, that it's basically ruining or going to ruin the bluefish season. Like, sorry, bluefin tuna. I said bluefish. So the bluefin tuna. Guys don't. A lot of guys, like a lot of charter guys, they're already complaining, right? Because their customers aren't going to want to go out if they can't take tuna home. It's an expensive trip. Yeah,
the way I was, Jerry Zagorski from NJFishing.com, my main man, kind of had a little talk with him about it, and he basically said the boats that are fishing for the giant bluefin tuna are in major trouble. That's how he explained it. The ones that are fishing for the giants that want to keep a fish, it's going to be a problem.
But you're talking, it's going to be a problem even for the guys who want to jig. Like if you want to go to Cape Cod, I just talked. So I'm going up to Cape Cod tonight actually with Jen Wong to fish for winter flounder,
which I was supposed to go on, but got screwed again.
Right? You always get screwed.
I do.
You do it to yourself, I think. But anyway, we're going up there with Doug Edmonds, Between Alarms Chartered again, and he does tuna up there as well. And I was already talking to him a little bit about it, and I said, like we want to do a tuna trip this year too again, which we tried last year. We got blown out. And he said, "Oh, did you see the new regs?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, but like we still want to do it. We want to just fight." But he said, yeah, they're screwed because the fish that they get up there, like guys don't see, they're not catching fish in that slot limit. Like, so customers are going to go out and the chances are very high that you're not going to catch a bluefin tuna that's in this new slot. So you're just catch and release fishing for bluefin. And I would imagine you can't even take them out of the water because you can't gaff them. You got to release them in the water. I'm sure I don't have the details in front of me, but you're talking about, enjoying the fight, getting the fight out of it, get it next to the boat, take a picture of it in the water or film the experience and let it go. And that's cool with me. And I know it's cool with you and probably a couple other guys, but a lot of people that pay good money to do this, they're not going to do it if they can't have, if they can't keep them and bring fresh tuna.
I would go anyway.
No, we're still going to go, but you understand.
I get it. I do get it. I get it. But I mean, people fly to Florida and pay thousands of dollars to fish for tarpon, and you ain't eating or keeping one of those. Same shit. Who cares? You can't eat it. Sorry. That's just the rule. Is bluefin tuna even good? Like, it's not good, is it?
What? Are you serious?
Bluefin tuna is only good as sushi, ain't it? Like, I don't think I've ever eaten bluefin meat. I've never had it.
It's delicious.
I've only ever had yellowfin. I've never had bluefin.
I know some guys can tell a difference. I honestly can't. I think they're both delicious. I mean, there's a little bit of
I thought
difference,
that's
but
the fish that like it gets sold to Asia for sushi, doesn't it? They're worth like thousands.
I'm sure it does, but that doesn't mean it's not good. That's the
Eat
opposite of being not good. That means
you
it's
eat
great.
you eat bluefish though. I need a
Oh, look,
opinion of
I'm a
someone.
great chef. I can cook anything and you'll eat it and you'll love it.
Yeah, that doesn't mean it's good though. It means you could
But you're
hide
the
it.
only person on earth I've ever heard that likes yellowfin tuna and thinks bluefin tuna isn't good. It's the most
No,
ridiculous
I didn't
thing
say.
I've ever heard.
I've never had it. Like even at the restaurant, you never see bluefin tuna. Like it always says yellowfin tuna. I don't know. I've never eaten it. No, give me a piece.
Okay. Well,
try
you
it.
can't. Now you never will eat it because
There you
nobody
go.
can catch bluefin tuna small enough to keep.
So it doesn't matter how good it is because you can't have one. So who cares? Is the guest ready to come in?
I thought he was.
There he is. Okay, Deuce, we got to cut. Eddie Mackin's Rippin' Lips Fishing Trips, your #1 guide service on Lake Apacon, the only lake he does service. Call Eddie today, even for a red-eye trip. If you're alone, he will pair you up with another angler that is alone. Give you an opportunity to get on this night bite at a cheaper rate. Also, pontoon boat rentals available. So call Eddie Mackin's Rippin' Lips Fishing Trips today for your Lake Apacon needs. Okay, so on several controversial episodes of the NJ Multi-Species podcast, it always has been a couple episodes about spin fishing versus fly fishing. And we do constantly get challenged by fly fishermen on social media that want to debate us, and we invite them on the podcast to debate us, and they say they will, but they never show up, and they eventually just fuck the podcast up. But tonight, one has finally showed up. We have Matthew Manobianco. He has been fishing New Jersey his entire life, and he was obviously offended by one of our posts and is here to defend the fly fishing honor. Matthew, welcome to the NJ Multi-Species podcast.
Well, it's an honor to be here and be welcomed by the spin fishing community.
Just so everyone knows, I am not the spin fishing community. I am a fly fisherman, and I do back the fly fisherman more than the spin fisherman.
Do you fly fish more than you spin fish?
Currently,
yeah, no. I was asking Joe because he just called himself a fly fisherman.
On the river,
just in general. How do you call yourself a fly fisherman?
On the river for the months of April, May, and June, and some of July, do use the fly rod more. The other 8 months of the year, I use a total spinning rod.
Okay, and just to be clear, I fly fish when
he doesn't.
It is appropriate to fly fish.
No.
Yeah, and that's exactly how I am with spin fishing. Usually, when I'm in the ocean, I spin fish. It's the easiest way to do it, most effective way. I think, especially I'm going out in the ocean most of the time to bring home some dinner. So, I want the way that's, maybe the easiest or the most efficient or effective. And that's, why I spin fish or jig or do something like that when I'm fishing in the ocean.
See, now I can already tell that he's not one of these guys that I'm talking about when I say something that sets the fly fishing community off. And what I mean by that is, and I don't know I don't think you were offended. He said you were offended. I wouldn't use that word, but some of the guys are, and they come at us very aggressively from saying anything. It's not even something negative about fly fishing.
Streamers are not fly fishing.
What?
Streamers are not fly fishing.
Well, you can get into that with Matt afterwards, but I don't have an opinion on that, honestly. But here's the example I just want to use. So one of the videos we posted that went, I don't know, not viral, but it went it just kept coming back. Like I couldn't get rid of it. Like people just kept commenting on it. And it's a clip. We have our buddy Joey X, who does a fly fishing guide service up in the Poconos.
That does not all.
Not
If
Poconos,
you
where's-
call him and have spinning rods, he will not take you as a customer. Like you're
So
denied.
we had him on as a guest, and in one of the segments, I said to him, I said, like, legit fly fishermen have to hate these guys too. And these guys that we were talking about are the fly fishermen who just go fly fish and act like they're better than everyone. And I already can tell you're not one of those guys.
They
because
are,
you
though.
do everything.
They are better. My biggest argument here, I have to raise this point, and because, Matt, you may disagree or agree. The New Jersey trout fishery that Chris is used to fishing is not real trout fishing. It's a simulated creation created by the state of New Jersey fishing for fish tank fish that eat pellets. It's not real trout fishing.
Agree.
No, but you say, fly fishing isn't as effective. If you're fishing for real fish that aren't tank fish, the fly rod cannot be outfished by a spin rod.
My specific words are that I don't think fly fishing for trout is as effective in New Jersey specifically. I always say in New Jersey specifically. In this simulated trout world that you just said, which I agree with, that's what I said. And not all the time, saying most of the time, I can more effectively fish for stream trout with an ultralight spin gear than I can with fly gear. That's why I do it.
Yeah.
I disagree.
Well, I think it's, we could go on for hours about, which one's more effective. But I think, a lot of times it comes down to what river, what type of water you're fishing. Because I've been, plenty of rivers and walking along a river and get to a long, flat section that has no real structure, no moving water. It's very stagnant. And I'd be like, damn, I wish I had a spinning rod because I could cast farther. I could work the whole, pool much more effectively than trying to, get a cast out, into that slow moving water, especially if I'm not, using something like a streamer that imitates, similar, to a spin rod.
And that's a real angler's answer. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is not, if you had one of those other guys that just bitches and complains and screams at us and then says they're going to come on and then disappears, those guys wouldn't say things like that. They would drill it into you that they're only going to fly fish no matter what, whether it's working or not, because fly fishing makes them better than you. And that's the difference.
And I think, I got into fly fishing, honestly, pretty recently, 2021. I went on a second time back to Alaska. The guide taught me how to fly fish, and I'm, catching salmon and rainbow trout, up in the rivers there, and having a great time. And that kind of led me down that road to really get into it. And for me, it was, I enjoyed it. I was walking the rivers more than I, really had, before. And it, just was for me. I enjoyed it. And that's kind of, maybe people think because it's, relatively more challenging to get into than spin fishing, as a beginner, that it's, it makes you elite or better, than someone else. But it's really, for me, it's just, it can be challenging and, rewarding at the same time. And that's, what people, find in fishing is different. And that's, what I found in fly fishing.
And I got to disagree with you just a little bit, because that's an argument that we hear all the time, is like fly fishing is so much more difficult, blah, blah, blah. And I just got to tell this story. So the very first time I ever tried fly fishing, besides, I think I may have done it once or twice. Like, I dabbled in it once or twice with my own, like, piece of crap fly rod that I got from Walmart or something, just messing around just to see what it was all about. Not including that, the first time I actually went fly fishing, we went upstate New York. My buddy knew a guide up there, and we went out with him. He had the gear, he had the fly fishing gear. I didn't have anything. He had good gear. I used his gear. I said, I don't really know how to do this. And he, within a couple minutes explained to me what we were going to be doing. We were drifting egg imitator flies for brown trout. I understood how the flow in the river and stuff worked because I trout fish with ultralight spin, but I didn't know how to fly fish. He explained it to me. He showed me once or twice the cast, and I picked it up immediately. And I mean, it was an insane day where the fish were just nonstop. I mean, we caught so many giant brown trout. It was ridiculous. But my point is, like, it's as difficult as anything else. It's like, you know what you know and you don't know what you don't know. Once you learn it, you could do it. And I've said to people before, it's the fine motor skills and the gross motor skills involved in fly fishing. It's not that difficult. And the only people that think it's difficult really are people that failed gym class in high school. Like, it's not rocket science. It's just something you need to learn and try. But I think, to your point, I think what it is not that it's more difficult per se. It's more intimidating. And I think that's because of these guys that walk around acting like they're better than everyone else. And I think it hurts fly fishing in general. And that was my whole point with that other segment that we posted that I was talking about.
Yeah. And, it's even in the fly fishing community, you have people that say you can't use a certain type of fly because it's pink and rubber and, catches fish more than the traditional fly that looks like a bug, and it's, then we can go into that debate, and it's like,
that's Joe. Joe will debate you on that right now.
I mean, you could go all the way into the purists that will literally sit at the side of the riverbank waiting hours for a dry fly rise because that's all he has in his box. They don't even use nymphs, which nymphing is my favorite way. If you want to catch fish, you're going to be nymphing 90% of your time on the water. They don't even consider that fly fishing because they don't consider those flies either. Streamers, no way. They don't even look at those. I'm with them on that. If you're at a point where you need to get a streamer, you should get a spinning rod because you're spin fishing with the wrong pole. That's just not fly fishing at all.
Yeah, and that's, where it is, maybe in the untraditional or non-traditional sense, like more challenging. You're doing something that you could put on a lure with a spinning rod and work that water more effectively than you can with a fly rod and a streamer. But
I'll put a night crawler on my fly rod. I'll put a woolly bugger on a spinning rod if it's a small stream. It doesn't matter. One thing I did notice though, Chris, Matt, I don't know if you agree, but because some people that I've taught to fly fish, when you teach a person that knows how to fish bait how to fly fish, they pick it up right away. When you try to teach a guy that fishes lures how to fly fish, they have trouble immediately. And that's because they don't know how to read the current. They don't know the drift. Guys that use worms and shit like that, they know how rivers work. Guys that are used to just walking up to rivers and throwing blue foxes all day and spinning them in, they don't actually know anything about a river. So when you put a fly rod in there, they don't know shit. And I've seen that true. So the guys that do fish with bait, you being one of those people, you would pick up fly fishing much faster because it's a lot more based on that kind of drift fishing compared to just reeling shit in.
Yeah, and there's people who I know centerpin, and that's to me centerpinning is just almost the same thing as
you're opening a whole nother that's a whole nother can of worms because the centerpinners look at the fly fishermen like they suck. Like that's a whole nother argument.
You're you're fishing eggs under a bobber, and what's the difference?
Centerpin fishing really is you're a bobber. It's professional bobber fishing. If you like fishing with a bobber, buy a centerpin because that's what that is. It's an egg sac under a bobber.
And what trout wouldn't eat that? Sees a orange egg sac flowing down the river. Of course they're gonna eat that. And if it works, do it. But
I think that's the bottom line, right? And I mean, now that we have you here and talking to you, and I wasn't really sure what your opinions were going to be exactly, but I could tell talking to you online that you weren't going to come on here and just yell at us. Like, we were going to have a conversation, and it turns out we kind of agree on everything to a point. I'm right. I mean, I think the bottom line is, right, what you just said. If it works, do it. I don't know about you or anyone else, but when I go fishing, my goal is usually to catch fish. I like to catch big fish, and I like to catch a lot of fish. So if I go out there, I don't really see the point of handicapping myself purposely. I mean, I do understand the novelty of certain things, and like that it can be fun. I do things just for fun. If that's the goal, then you do it. Like, if my goal is to just have fun going fly fishing, and I've accepted the fact that it may not be the most effective tactic for what I'm doing at that point in time, that's totally fine. I'm not telling anyone what to do or not do, but I just don't understand going and doing something purposely that if you know it's not the most effective tactic to catch fish, whether it be big fish or numbers of fish or whatever the goal is, doing something not.
How do you know that, though? That's an opinionated statement.
Yeah, see, that's where I could disagree.
It is not a more effective weapon. I don't understand where you're getting just because
no, you're not listening. You're not listening. I'm not saying it always is, but I mean, can you admit that it sometimes is? I can admit that fly fishing is sometimes the most effective tactic for a scenario. Definitely. And if it is, or if I think it is, then I'm going to fly fish because I believe that's the most effective tactic. Some of these guys, even though they have to know that in whatever the scenario is, fly fishing is not the most effective tactic, but they're going to do it anyway because fly fishing makes them better than a spin fisherman. You get what I'm saying?
Being a fly fisherman, he's a fly fisherman. He's always going to fly fish. That's just what he does.
No, he's not. He literally, Matt, didn't you? You specifically said you were going to spin fish if you.
Well, not us, but other people. They're fly fishermen.
Yeah, I know people. They will only use a fly rod. They'll use a fly rod to catch, anything from a striped bass to a trout to a fluke. I know people who will fluke for, with a fly rod, which to me sounds like, a waste of time. It's already, difficult to catch them recently, at least up in North Jersey, so, I wouldn't even bother wasting my time, throwing a fly rod into the surf to try and catch fluke. But you put a bucktail on the end of your line and it's the same thing. It's deer hair and some weight and a hook. And, whether you're using a spinning rod or a fly rod, it's, the same thing.
And I'm talking about the guy who's gonna fly fish in that scenario, even though it's not the most effective way, right? But if I come up down the beach with a spin rod and a bucktail and I start catching more fish than him, he's going to poo-poo to me because I'm not fly fishing. Like, those fish don't count. You know the guy I'm talking about. There's a lot of them out there. And that's the reputation that the fly fishing community gets from these handfuls of guys that act this way.
Yeah, I think there's a definitely... We're kind of in that middle ground where we see, both sides. And I think, you're seeing that side from, the fly fisherman who's, angry that you're fishing next to him and you're catching more fish, or, vice versa. And I think sometimes, what I've seen, at least perceived, is in the fly fishing community, there's a lot more outward conservationism towards the environment and the rivers, especially with Trout Unlimited, which isn't, solely fly fishing only. There's plenty of people in, Trout Unlimited communities that don't fly fish at all. But I think, they tend to silo themselves because they see like the spin fisherman or that bucket fisherman as the one leaving worm boxes all over their river and, leaving, 20-pound test line when they're fishing for, 12-inch stock trout, in the river and things like that. So I think there's, those things tend to divide, the groups, and now it's like the elitist fly fishermen and the, littering bucket fishermen and, but most people aren't like that. And that's,
Right. See, I'm like that. I am like that. I'll like if I'm out and I see the vest, that's a dead giveaway to me. Oh, I'm looking for that vest. If I see that dumb vest, I ain't talking to you. And then they run over the stupid trout vest. Like if you have that vest on right away, I'm biased.
I want to stop you for just 1 second and remind you that
Chuck wears it. I know. I know. Chuck, you're gonna tell me right. Chuck wears it. But here's what it's got to have. It's got to have that metal chain dangling off it, swinging around. Chuck don't have that, so he's all right. But if I see the guy with that vest on and I hear the metal chain shaking and he starts asking me shit, I'll just pretend I don't speak English, or I'm not answering him. Like
he probably don't speak English either, though. Listen, but I mean, no, Matt, you made a fantastic point, and it's kind of what I've tried to say. There's these extremes on both sides, and we will readily bash. I mean, if I see someone littering, I will bash them right to their face. I'll call them out right then and there. That's not the kind of people that we are, obviously, or anyone that we hang out with. Like that's the far extreme on that side. And now that we talk to you, I can see that, you're not the kind of people on the far extreme of the other side. And, we're kind of in the middle, on either side of the middle. And if I see a guy fly fishing and he's catching more fish than me, I want to run back up to the truck and get my fly rod. I don't hate fly fishing.
I'm going to make a statement because I just want to say this. I think of the three, if you really wanted the most effective way of catching trout from a river, it's a centerpin. I think the centerpin will murder a fly rod or a spinning rod.
I don't think you can pick one tactic. There's just too many variables. I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, if I
the
believe,
centerpin is just designed perfectly to fish trout in a river. It's what it was made to do, but it's new. It's from England. It doesn't have the tradition that fly fishing has in America. It doesn't have the tradition spin fishing has at all, and it's foreign to us. But definitely, if you learn how to do that, I guess what I'm trying to say is, a lot of things we do here are based on tradition and what we were taught. They're not actually based on the most effective. They're based off tradition.
Yeah. Well, I see, in just the striped bass fishing community, people look at, people trolling mojos off of their boat as, the scum of the earth, oh, you're trolling for stripers, like, who do you think you are?
Yeah, we get those comments all the time.
But sometimes it's the most effective. I'll do it and it works. But other times people will be trolling and the people jigging or using live bait are killing it. And you can't catch a single, fish on a mojo. So, goes back to the point, the right, tool for the right time. And, again, it's fishing. There's 1,000 ways you could probably do it. I could be 100% elitist and say, why aren't you going diving and spearfishing, or why aren't you, hand lining sharks? So, we can go really deep into that.
Yeah, right. And I mean, and even if all you did was fly fish and you weren't interested in catching fish any other way, if you're one of those guys, I still don't care. You still don't bother me. You could do whatever you want. I don't care. It's when you start bashing other people for doing, and it goes. It's not just fly fishing. It's like you said. There's guys that get seasick that surf fish only and say boat fish don't count.
They hate us. They
all get because they all get seasick. That's why they're not on a boat. Let's just be honest. We did a whole episode where people who loved shore fishing came on, and we had like 5 or 6 people. And at the end of every segment, we asked them all the same question. We go, "Oh, do you get seasick?" Every single one of them said yes.
Yep.
It was hilarious. But my point is, there's all kinds of stuff. Like you said, the shore striper fishermen, the bass only guys, the muskie only guys. It's all crazy to me, right? But you can still, if that's what you love to do, then that's what you love to do. I don't have a problem with that. But it's when you start bashing other people.
Well, that basically goes with anything in life. Just do your own thing and don't bash other people. That's it.
I was even almost somewhat that way with carp, especially me that, carp was kind of, it's invasive, a lot of places in the US. So that's why I don't like it. And, why would you want to fish for this ugly, bottom feeding fish? But recently I've been seeing people, catching them on fly rods and, that interested me. And, now I want to go carp fishing with a fly rod and see if I can, catch a carp on a fly rod. Probably not the most effective, but,
I you know what? Believe it or not, there are certain scenarios, and I've never tried it, but I've talked to people who do it. And there are certain scenarios where it is very effective. It's not, you're basically.
It's borderline though. You know why? Because that's not a fly either. Because it's imitating a berry. It ain't imitating a bug.
No, you can do it. You can do it with
people do it with like woolly
buggers.
Really?
Yeah,
I have done it with berry flies, and it does work. You just have to find the tree and just keep casting under it, and you'll catch one. Especially on the Passaic River, it's easy. But yeah, that's not a fly. It's a berry. It's a berry fly, I guess.
I mean,
Matt, we're not going to ruin this whole night. Matt, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on here and argue with us. I'm just kidding. You were actually very nice. Matt is a nice example of the fly fishing community, not like the other guys that want to fight me in the Walmart parking lot. But Matt, thank you so much for coming on here. It's been a pleasure having the conversation with you.
Yeah, you guys as well. And, just one thing to say, if, fish what you want, respect the rivers and the environment and the people around you. And, that's all you need to do, fish whatever you like.
Appreciate it.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. And you're welcome to I know you said you fly fish for a lot of different stuff. If you ever want to come on again, just send us a message. If you want to talk about anything specifically, you're always welcome back on.
Or go fishing. Chris says no one wants to fish with me, though. But invitation.
Yeah, definitely.
I've said to Joe for a while now, we only did it kind of a couple times, to do like a fly fishing versus spin fishing.
We never do it.
As close to a scientific experiment as possible in as many different scenarios as possible, just to see.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do a video with that, we can go to a lake, go to a river, test some stuff out. No lakes?
No lakes, nah. No fly rods on lakes for me. That's a whole nother episode.
He's an elitist.
No, I'm not. A fly rod on a lake, to me, that's like an alien planet.
What about Matt, bluegills?
I would do that, I guess. Matt, thank you so much for coming on, and have a good night.
You too. Bye.
All right, take care.
Take it easy, man. All right. 8-Ball Sport Fishing out of Point Pleasant offers extreme flexibility at a very affordable price. Captain Dom is absolutely amazing, offers even striper trips after work. Sea bass charters on the weekends up to 6 people. Also offers shark fishing trips. Call 8-Ball for all your 6-pack charter needs today. Expedition Fly Fishing, Joey X continues to post beautiful pictures of those brown trout from the Catskills, especially the west branch of the Delaware River where he has his drift boat. If you do not want to fish in the drift boat and you'd rather go on foot, he does accommodate wader fishing on the Beaverkill and Willowemac. Call Expedition Fly Fishing today for your next fly fishing trip in the Catskills. Tell them you saw it on this podcast. You should get $50 off your next fly fishing trip. So call Joey X today. All right, so that was a pretty interesting conversation. It is an argument we continue to privately have forever, but yeah, it'll never be solved. It's probably like Chevy versus Ford in reality.
I mean, in my eyes, there's no argument to win or solve. It's just like stop being a douchebag to other people.
I really have to say, honestly, when you go up to the Great Lake tributaries, especially, those guys with the centerpin rods, they smash fish. It's so cool. But like I said, it doesn't have the tradition that the others, but it does have traction. You're seeing more of it come to New Jersey and some other states where it's being used for trout now.
Dude, if you show me a scenario where a certain tactic works great or the best, or I think it's the best, or anything remotely close to that, I'm going to want to do it. It doesn't matter what it is. If I see it or hear about it and think that it's worth doing for that reason, I'm going to do it.
Well, the thing with that is I think, like my understanding, and I could be wrong if someone's watching this that centerpin fishes, you have to fish with a bobber at all times. You can't bottom fish with it. You can't jig. You can't do anything but float fish. That's all it does. Bobber, float fishing setup, hook, bait. That's it. So
that's all I've ever seen. Yeah, I would imagine.
As far as versatility wise, it doesn't have anything going for it. It only does one thing. It does that one thing very well, though. A spinning rod could do anything. It could fish bait. It could fish flies. It could fish lures. It could just do anything. And then again, the fly rod can't. So versatility wise, spinning rod can do anything. And then on top of that, the spinning rod fishermen, they outnumber everyone else by just gigantic numbers. So fly fishing, definitely minority.
So is it because it's easier or is it because it's more effective?
Well, listen, I could tell you I haven't fly fished as much in the past 9 years since my kids were born, because now when I go fly fishing at the rivers, I'm taking spinning gear. Usually I'd be taking fly gear. Taking fly gear with the kids would be a disaster. I mean, I wouldn't even bother going. It would just be, that's something they really have to learn and be taught. I could take them spin fishing.
I could understand a kid having trouble learning the mechanics of fly fishing versus spin fishing. But as an adult, the lines of like the difficulty in the movements needed, they're not there. I mean, Come on. It's not difficult to fly fish. Once someone teaches you how to do it, you can do it.
No, yeah, you'd have to be taught, though. That's what I'm saying. I think a spinning rod, you could...
Well, I can confirm you need to be taught, even as an adult, how to spin fish.
No, I agree, but it's a lot easier to teach someone how to spin fish.
I don't agree. As an adult, I think if you're a competent, like active adult that can, effectively do
you're
fine
telling
and gross
me right
motor
now,
skills.
Hold on a second. You got a guy that's never gone fishing before, and you're about to take him out for the first time. You think it's easier to teach him with a fly rod than with a spin? That's the dumbest thing anyone's ever said in history. I
don't think it's going to matter. If you're teaching someone from scratch, you're teaching them from scratch.
Nah, I could teach someone how to spin fish in 5 minutes.
So then why did the first time someone showed me how to fly fish, I picked it up immediately and was catching 33
You went with a professional guided trip into the Catskills.
Do you think he has... I'm not talking about the fish. I understand the fishing there was better. But I didn't lose fish. I didn't miss fish. I didn't throw my shit into the tree. I'm saying the movements needed to cast a fly line and understand how it's going to float and how to mend the line and how to recast and all that, it's not that difficult. It's not.
No one said it is, but it's not. I mean, a spinning, you could figure out how to cast that. It doesn't have to be mended, and it could be casted in 2 seconds.
Well, my point is, it's just a couple extra movements. It's not this incredibly difficult thing to learn. Like, oh my God, I'm so good. I
disagree 100%. First of all, I have to say, I've seen you cast fly rod. You can't even cast one good. Max will back that up, so you don't even know how to cast one.
Where you film everything? Where's the video proof?
In Salmon River, when you couldn't, you don't use a fly rod
That's
that
not
much.
Even fly fishing. There's like
then I've never
an ounce
seen
of
you
lead
fly
at
fish.
the end
I've
of
never
it.
seen you fly fish at all. unless you're counting.
Okay,
like
so I showed you 20 pictures of bigger brown trout than you've ever caught in your life. That was my first time ever fly fishing. The guy didn't hold my hand. He told me how to do it once, and then I did it for 2 days
bigger
straight.
Brown trout. Where are they?
Are you kidding me? I've showed you. You just can't remember anything.
And they're from the Catskills?
No, it's from upstate New York.
I don't understand.
My point is, that was my first time fly fishing. That was the first time someone told me how to do it.
That wasn't your first time fishing. First time fly fishing, not fishing. Okay. You're talking about, you just said taking someone fishing for the first time. It's just as easy with a fly.
I didn't say it's just as easy. I said I don't think it's that much more difficult to teach someone how to fly fish.
Being able to cast a fly.
Capable adult.
I don't know.
If you're talking about people who failed gym class in high school, then you know, that's one thing. You're talking about someone who can do the motions needed to cast a fly. It ain't that fucking difficult.
It's not that difficult, but it's definitely not anywhere in the same atmosphere as spin fishing, which could be, like I said, mastered in 5 minutes.
I will say this right now. Here, you want me to tell you something right now? When I got my first bait casting reel, that was harder to learn how to use than the first time I fly fished. How about that? I blew the shit out of that bait casting reel so many times with bird nests, but I didn't have anywhere near that amount of problems with fly fishing. You could
be fly fishing out of a drift boat where you're doing a roll cast, throwing heavier woolly buggers or nymphs, or then actually casting a dry fly. Because actually casting a dry fly, there's no way in hell you're teaching someone to do that quick. There's no way.
Why not?
Because it ain't that easy. It ain't that easy to cast.
You're an elitist fly fisherman. You don't even know it. You think these things are so difficult, and they're just not.
I'm not saying they're that difficult. I could do them all, but compared to spin fishing, and
if you can do them, they're easy. And we could bring Chuck Manny on to ask you how many times you failed at spin fishing, and he'll tell you if you can do it, it's easy.
I mean, I don't think Chuck fly fishes that much, does he?
No, but he knows how to do it.
I mean, I'm going by from teaching my kids. I mean, the spinning rod.
That's a whole dude. Your kids probably, and all kids, not just
dude.
Your
I
kids.
would use anyone on earth. I don't think to say that it's anywhere near as easy to learn to fly. We'll put it up as a vote. I think that's the craziest statement I've ever heard. They're not even close. No way.
It ain't that difficult to learn how to fly fish.
Are you really? Let me ask you a question. If you went to the river tomorrow, what fly are you putting on?
That is a completely different thing. And I've said that before.
What fly are you putting on? You have no idea. You don't even know.
So I'll go on Google and I'll look up a worm
and a night crow. You don't even know what a fly is.
What are you going to do? You're going to go on Google and look up which fly is hatching right now.
No, I know. I know what fly to use because I tied the fly. Like you don't even know fly. How could you know how easy fly fishing? You don't even know what flies there are. It's crazy to say
if
that.
I can cast a jerk bait that looks like the bait fish they're eating and catch more fish than you, why the fuck do I need to know what bug is hatching?
Well, then you're not fly fishing. So what's your point?
You're right. I'm not fly fishing because it's not as effective as spin fishing here. So I'm not doing it.
I mean, again, opinionated and wrong. It depends on the month.
I have and can again prove it as many times as you want.
No.
Show me the fly fisherman in New Jersey that catches anything remotely close to what the likes of Justin Lerner catches when he goes fly fishing.
Like I said, and I'll say it again, those are all simulated fish. You guys are not fishing.
Doesn't matter.
I know what that is.
That's the whole state.
No, it is. That's a couple little anomaly spots under a club.
He catches more wild brown trout than them too.
Those aren't fucking wild. Those aren't wild.
Yes, they are. Not
they
the
swam
big
out
ones.
of a club 7 minutes ago. Wild. Get fucking wild. You don't get that big wild in New Jersey. That's
I'm not
ridiculous.
talking about the big giant ones, Joe. I'm talking about the regular sized wild brown trout. You're going to embarrass yourself by telling everyone that you don't think there's any wild brown trout in New Jersey again.
No one said that. I'm talking about what you're talking about, where you're talking about fishing one spot. That is an anomaly.
Joe,
it's
I'm
not
talking about fishing New Jersey. We're only talking about fishing in New Jersey.
What river?
any river in New Jersey,
Mm-hmm.
9 times out of 10, most of the months of the year, I'll outfish you with a spin rod versus a fly rod.
What river?
Any river, you can pick it.
I guarantee you're going to pick a river with clubs on it.
What am I picking the one river? What do you mean?
Wild fish.
You said yourself that the New Jersey trout fishery is a simulated trout fishery, which I agree with. It's all stocked fish. Why wouldn't I fish the river that gets stocked with more bigger fish?
You have to have access to that.
Access to what? It's all public access.
You don't have to
go into a club to fish the river that has the clubs on it.
Yeah,
Those
I know.
Fish
I understand.
Are stocked into the river.
That's what I'm saying, though. Your universe revolves around this club river shit. 90% of the rivers in the state don't have clubs on them.
Most of the rivers in this state in northern New Jersey do have clubs on them.
No.
Yes, they do.
No.
They absolutely
do. They just don't. That's ridiculous to even say. 100% wrong.
Name one that doesn't or never had a club on it.
Ramapo. Wanacue.
That's 100% stock. Wanacue has had clubs on it, and I believe still does.
The Wanacue River is stocked from Monksville to the dam. There's not even a building there. There's a club there.
Where did the wild brown trout come from there?
There's wild brown trout above Monksville?
I don't know. I've never fished that part of the river.
I haven't either. I mean, I have, but not for wild fish. Ramapo River, you're never going to see a fish like that. You're just not.
Okay, that's great. So it's just because it's too warm. It doesn't hold over trout. Flatbrook has private stock. You said a club, and I'll take back the club. We'll say private stockings. Almost every river in northern New Jersey that can hold over trout has some form of club or private stocking on it.
Not comparable to what you're comparing it to. No.
What am I comparing it to?
To one spot. That's an anomaly of all spots.
If I find a spot that's better than other spots, I'm going to go to that spot.
I mean, it's not better, though. You have a possibility of catching a giant fish, but 9 times out of 10, it sucks ass.
Okay, so then it's not that good of a spot.
As compared to other spots.
Make up your mind.
I don't know exactly what the argument started at. You were telling me it was easier to teach someone with a spinning rod than a fly rod.
You just reversed it, but I didn't say it was easier. I said it's not that difficult to teach an adult how to use a fly rod.
I don't think you fly fish. That's my answer.
First time fly fishing, I caught bigger fish than you've ever caught fly fishing.
I don't believe that either. I don't know where you're getting that from.
I have the pictures, and they're going to be popping up this whole time while
then I'll pop. Wait, I've been going to New York for 20 years too. You think I don't have brown trout from New York? This is the NJ. Let's see some NJ fish with a fly rod. My biggest one ever
here.
My biggest one ever is 19 inches. I've never even broken.
Didn't
20.
you catch your biggest New Jersey fly fishing trout in the spot that I took you to that you're now complaining about?
Actually, the spot that you took me to that I'm complaining about, I lost the biggest trout of my entire life because of the fucking fly rod. If I would have had the spinning rod, I would have landed it. And it was probably a rainbow trout that was like 27 inches. And it broke a salmon pole somehow. But that's how ridiculous that is. But yeah, if I had a spinning rod, I probably would have landed that fish. I don't know if that's because it's harder with a spinning rod or if it's because I'm not as experienced you don't get a lot of chances to fight giant fish on the fly rod unless you go to New York.
It is harder to land the fish on a fly rod than a spin rod.
How do you know that though? How do you know a guy that's not really... I know, but there might be a real experienced fly fisherman that's going to tell you, no way, I could land them with... Because the salmon, when it comes to fighting salmon, the fly guys kick the shit out of the spin rods.
That's a whole different issue. That ain't even real fishing. But
it's still fighting big fish in a river, and the fly rod shows that it can do it. I don't know why
you think you can fight a salmon on a fly rod easier than a spin rod? How is that possible? No, I don't
Fighting
believe
them on a spinning rod is just it's worthless to even do it. Not fun.
No, I've seen plenty of guys do it fine. But the point, I mean, the mechanics of the fly rod makes it harder to land the fish. I mean, that's a fact. But that goes back to my point. Why would I put myself in that kind of a handicap if using the fly rod to get bit isn't putting me at an advantage in the first place? Like, why am I handicapping myself?
I don't know. I mean, I like fly fishing. I mean, I like
That's
to
fine.
go. I mean, I'm going trout fishing for the day. I'm gonna take my fly rod and go fly fishing. If you're saying like, oh, I want to go do this thing, we're gonna go after a monster. Like I'd rather not take my fly rod. When I get the opportunities to go inside the trout club, and I know I have a shot at a giant fish, I'd rather not take the fly rod. The first couple times I took the fly rod into the trout club with Scott Carroll, and he's got knife rollers and a spinning rod. He kicked my ass. I mean, I did good, but he's got knife rollers and a spinning rod. He's walloping fish while I'm scratching my head trying to figure out what to try. And after maybe this first 2 or 3 times of being stubborn and getting my ass kicked, I said, fuck this. I'm bringing a spinning rod next time. Brought a spinning rod, caught the biggest trout in New Jersey in my lifetime. Probably wouldn't have landed it with the fly rod. But yeah, and
Is
also,
that because it's easier or because it's more effective?
I don't know. It could be that I'm not experienced enough with a fly rod. I really don't know. I'm not like...
You spent the whole
me.
episode talking about how you were like the fly fisherman. Like,
I mean,
you're not experienced.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how I would rate my experience level at. It's not like I've ever gone out with another fly fisherman and said, "Oh, let's see who's better." I don't know really. I have no idea.
All right. Well, this episode's gone on way too long anyway.
It's gone too long.
Is your buddy able to get on or no?
We want to bring up my friend Thomas Murphy on, who started a new podcast about ice hockey, his new ice hockey podcast, but we're having problems getting him in. We can't get his microphone to work. Chris is leaving at 1 a.m. to go to Cape Cod flounder fishing. Was supposed to be Saturday, but it got postponed to a weekday that I can't go on, of course, so I'm missing it. But good luck to you and Jen. The guest next week is who?
So we got Eddie Mackin's lure guy.
Oh, yeah, Nova, right? Nova jerkbaits?
Jeff from Supernova Lures.
He owes me 2 lures I'm waiting for, too. And the season's almost over, so I'm pissed.
Owes you 2 lures?
I ordered 2 more lures, yeah. I use his jerkbaits.
Oh, did you?
I do, yeah.
Are they good? Obviously they're good, but like...
They're really good, yeah. But you gotta tell them what you want because he hand paints them and stuff, and they're
cool.
like $15, but they're done in a couple days.
I mean, $15, that's nothing. Try to order a specific type of super spook online that the tackle shops don't have. You're paying $15.
When you see what this guy did, he basically took colors that we love and applied them to his own shaped lure. You're gonna like it when you see it. All right, so we'll be back next week. We're going to put some kind of a poll up, I don't know, to solve one of the 75 arguments that took place inside this episode. And we will be back next week. And fly fishing is better than spin fishing.
No, it's not. Suffer for the spin fishing. Fly fishing sucks. Fly fishing. Turn it off.